Thank you, for being here and for your commitment to our EFC family. My name is Erica Baides, and I'm a parent organizer with FIA. And as you all know, FIA and EFC, we've come together, combined our strengths with the goal of creating parent power and achieving 100% literacy across all our EFC schools. Super exciting. So now I'd like to pass it over to Daisy.
Estamos en este trabajo juntos en los grupos 1 y 2. Aprendimos sobre el enfoque de EFC para la instrucción de lectura
Daisy,
basada en la
hi
ciencia.
Daisy, presento tu testimonio.
Oh, perdón. Hola, Erika, ¿me escucha?
Yes, sí.
Erika.
Sí. Daisy, es su testimonio.
Ok, sí. Bueno, buenas noches. Como ya muchos de ustedes ya me conocen. No le escucho, Erika.
Daisy, you're going to share your testimony
Hola.
why you are here today. Your story of self.
Oh, ok. Sí, como decía ya, algunos de ustedes ya me conocen. Mi nombre es Daisy Campos. Soy mamá de 2 niños que estudian en la CIER y estoy aquí. Como participé en el primero y segundo grupo, estoy acá nuevamente y mi liderazgo en este momento está muy alto, ya que estoy como más fuerte para poder involucrar a más familias a participar en todos los eventos que mi escuela realice. Gracias.
Gracias, Viviana.
Thank you, Daisy. And if you want to continue, let us know, give us a quick summary for cohort 1 and 2.
Sí. Luego estamos en este trabajo juntos. En los grupos 1 y 2 aprendimos en el enfoque de EFC para la instrucción de lectura basada en la ciencia. Aprendimos sobre los puntos de referencia de lectura del nivel de grado, el nivel de nuestro propio hijo y cómo apoyar su lectura en casa. También aprendimos cómo desarrollar nuestra propia historia personal de uno mismo, nosotros y ahora para empoderar a otros padres. En otras palabras, nos pusimos nuestro abrigo de poder. Ok, Erika, pasa con usted.
All right. So in cohort 3, it is all about leveling up.
Me gusta, perdón.
So in cohort 3, we are leveling up. All right. So that's our catchphrase for this institute, leveling up. So we will be learning about now how people, resources, and power work in our city and our schools so that we can be even better accountability partners with our schools in raising that bar for all our kids. So in other words, we're leveling up to become champions of school-wide needs and priorities. We aren't just trying on our power coats in this cohort, we're wearing those power coats. So if you're wearing your power coat tonight, I need to see those thumbs up. I need to see those smiling faces. Who's ready? Who's ready? Who's got their power coat on? A ver. Daisy's ready. I see Alba maybe ready. Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Sí.
So we're gonna have you now go ahead. I know some of you already did it, so we're gonna go ahead. And the majority of you already did the check-in of putting your name, your role, and your school in that chat box. And now, if we can just hear from 1 or 2 parents, why are you excited to join the Literacy Level Up Family Literacy Leadership Institute? If there's somebody that wants to share, you want to come off mute. It's a little quiet, so I might have to call on one of my coordinators, Rocio.
I'll go, Erica.
Oh, okay.
Look,
Thank you.
I was gonna
Thank you,
unmute too.
Vivica.
That's so funny. I'll totally go. So my name is Stefisha Ecoy Walton, and I'm in partnership with Vivica, right? So Carter is our son, and he goes to Cox Academy. He's in the 3rd grade in Mr. Ray's class, and I'm super excited to join, the Level Up Family Literacy, because leveling up is the theme for the year. As parents, we have to level up in terms of like how to teach our kids, like all these cool tools that they're using at school, because they're not the same. And quite honestly, I got so much from the first 2 institutes, and my wife went first, and I felt left out. So I joined Cohort 2, and then I understood what I was missing. So hopefully I get just as much out of this one as I did the other one, but I'm super excited to be here. So thank you.
Woo, woo. Love that, Stefisha. Leveling up for the year. Yes, definitely. All right, if we want to hear from one more parent, is there anybody available? Break the ice. All right, so we'll come back to y'all for the next one. We're going to call y'all out later on, so don't get too comfortable. All right. So these should be familiar to all of y'all here. So these are our EFC family literacy leadership values. And I'm actually just going to go ahead and read those bold lettering. Vivica, you want to help me out with value number 1? What is that value?
All right. So value number 1 is agency. We build the agency and leadership of parents to advocate for their children's educational achievement individually and collectively.
Value 2, and make sure, so if you value 1, agency, thumbs up. Value 2, science-based approach to reading. We're going to use the emoji for clapping hands if that's the one you identify with. We champion a vision for high quality schools, including a science-based approach to reading for all students. All right, for value 3, I'm gonna ask for help from another parent. Is there a parent available? Or maybe, let me see. Rocio, can you read for us value 3?
Yes. Parents must know the academic standards, the data, and their child's academic progress to be full parents in their child's education.
Awesome. And then value 4, homeschool partnership. We believe equitable access to quality education takes place when there is a strong homeschool communication, collaboration, and accountability. All right, so those are our values. Who remembers these? Are they still the same for a lot of people? I see hands up, Emily. Okay, so I know our coordinators remember it. How about our parents? Let me see. Any reaction? Okay, I'm seeing thumbs up from moms. Thank you. All right. And so now for our vision for cohort 3, level up. This institute is based on a vision for parent engagement at our schools. We hope to invite parents into deeper participation within your schools. And from a concerned and caring parent, we want you to be an active parent, and ideally for some, including all of us on this Zoom, to be in leaders and champions within our schools. Our goal is for parents and caregivers to be active participants in decision-making, advocate for raising the standards and expectations for all students at your school and citywide. How does this sound? Does it sound good? If it sounds good, we need a quick woo woo. Does it sound good?
Woo woo.
Oh yeah. Perfect. Okay, so we are all gonna level up. And so tonight, our purpose, before we get started, we're just gonna review quickly, what's on our agenda. And so the purpose for tonight is, as we've already said, level up. It's a core group. You are a core group of parents as key school-wide leaders in EFC's goal to achieve that 100% grade level literacy. Specifically, we're going to explore how people, resources, and power work together in Oakland, Education for Change, and your school site towards the academic achievement of our children, and look at some of the key people who have powerful roles in deciding what happens and what doesn't happen in our schools. So our agenda, we already did welcome and values. Our parents must know, is real power is often hidden. We're going to go in a little dive deeper into that. We're going to do breakout groups like you all know. So we'll have our affinity groups, language-based. Then we're going to reflect on our organizing about people. From there, we'll meet again as in small groups with our schools, and then finally close this out with our reflections and evaluation. Now, Daisy, if you can go ahead and take over here and present our next speaker.
Oh, Daisy, I think you're on mute. ¿Están mudo, Daisy? Otra vez. Gracias.
Perdón, ok.
Sin problema.
Kimi King es la directora fundadora y directora general de FIA, Families in Action for Quality Education. Tiene una carrera dedicada como maestra, directora y superintendente porque cree que la educación es un camino para que los estudiantes de Oakland tengan un futuro en la universidad y la carrera de su elección y hagan un cambio positivo en sus comunidades. So, por favor, les voy a pedir un woohoo para recibir a Kimi King, por favor, a la cuenta de 1, 2, 3. ¡Woo!
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Daisy. You guys, this is Daisy's, she's facilitating like a beast tonight. Are you with me? Is Daisy doing a great job?
Yeah.
Let's give her a woo woo. Right back at you. 3, 2, 1.
Woo woo.
Oh, we gotta get it. That's
Woo!
Daisy is the kind of leader we're talking about for Level Up. So I also, in addition to congratulating Daisy, I want to congratulate everyone here who is showing up because, one, you see yourself as a school-wide and a city-wide leader, right? And remember, the first revolution is internal. So you're here tonight because you believe in yourself, and we're all here tonight because we believe in you right back. So this group is amazing. I am so excited. I am honored to be in front of this group. And oh, I'm gonna just mute somebody. There we go. So I can have the full floor here. So congratulations to all of you because you are our first ever group of Level Up Family Literacy Leadership parents. So give yourselves a woo woo. Are you ready to give yourselves a woo woo?
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Woo!
Okay. I remember Cox, she's feeling it. I got the hand gestures. We got the whole thing. You guys, this is big. This is big. Okay. And Daisy introduced me, but I just want to tell you something a little bit personal about myself. I've grown up in East Oakland since I was 7 years old. I went to Allendale. I went to McChesney. I was a good student. I was actually a great student. And when I got to high school, I fell apart. Nobody noticed. I cut school all the time. Grades went from A's to D's just pretty much overnight. Nobody even called home that entire year. And I ended up dropping out of high school at the end of the 10th grade. So I didn't finish high school, and that gave me a lot of problems later on when I realized I really wanted to go to college. I'm here tonight because I don't want any more of our children to be left behind in this school system. So I am personally invested. When I'm here with you tonight, I've been through that struggle where I'm trying to go to college and don't know how to write an essay. Are you with me? And I've had to take that remedial math class to get into the college level. And I want our kids to be prepared for any life that they want to lead after high school. Are y'all with me? Can I just see some reactions to that? Yeah, I got some hearts on that. That's what it's about. This is about our babies, okay? And we're not going to have our babies left behind. Thank you. If you can go to the next one. But here's the good news.
McChesney, woo woo.
Oh, who's McChesney out there? Who's McChesney in the house?
Heather, Edna Brewer.
I love it. I love it. See, Oakland is a little small town. We do really know, we all know each other. Here's the good news, folks, is can you see that map on the left-hand side with all those red dots on it? Well, parents about 25 years ago, they saw this map and they were like, wait a minute, I'm noticing all those red schools, all those failing schools are right in all of our neighborhoods. So wait, why is that? We're going to do something about that. So 25 years ago, parents got angry about this. They looked at the data and they were like, wait a minute. How come all those schools up in the hills doing all right? And how come our schools are red and failing? Kids are not at grade level. They're not reading at grade level. They're not doing. How do you feel about that as a parent? Anybody? Y'all cool with that?
I feel like they're literally setting our children up for failure. I feel like they literally just don't care. I mean, if other children can clearly in the same city get like higher education and better education, I mean, it should go all the way across the board. I don't think we should be showing favoritism because all of the children are brilliant in their own ways. So
yes,
I definitely don't like it. And that's part of the reason why I am constantly trying to educate myself so that I can advocate for others.
Exactly. Jimmy, do you hear a level up parent in the house? I hear a level up parent in the house because we're acknowledging, but we're dissatisfied. When we know better, we do better. And once we know this is the reality, we got to do better as parent leaders. So Jamisha, thank you. I hear that's how you walk through life every day. And we can't be complacent with this. This is the status quo is not okay. But 25 years ago, when the parents got angry, they got organized just like you all are. They started talking to each other one-on-one in groups. They started visiting schools and they said, you know what, we need a change. And that's when they forced the district to accept charter schools and to accept new small autonomous schools. And that's where I got my start. As a first-year teacher, I was at Acorn Woodland. We were the lowest performing school the first year. 10 years later, we were a California distinguished school. So Jamisha, I'm with you. Where there is a will, there is a way. Okay, we do not need to accept that sea of red. We can fight for better, and our history shows us we can get better. All right, we're going to go to the next one. And anybody jump in when you feel the spirit moves you. I like this to be interactive. Well, fast forward, we got a lot of protesting in the city of Oakland, right? We do like to lift up our voices. And one thing you probably heard is this no cuts, no closures, right? Racial justice. Okay, well, what does that mean to folks? All right, because our kids aren't necessarily doing super well in schools. So what do we mean when we say no cuts, no closures? Are we talking about all schools? Are we talking about all the kids? What are we really talking about here? We have to complicate this narrative, right? So tonight we're gonna, leveling up means we start peeling back some of those layers and going a little deeper together to kind of understand this stuff. You can go to the next slide. Because I do want to shout out on my next slide. I want to shout out my Cox families who are here tonight. Cox, where are you at? Are you here?
Woo, we're here.
Yeah, is Cox here? Is Cox really here though? I'm not sure. All right. Hey, okay. All right. Well, here I want to shout out Cox because when we talk about no cuts, no closures.
Aquí andamos.
Hey, all right, Marilene. We're talking about, are we talking about our babies at Cox that got rain coming through the roof, can't use their $28 million grant just to keep the school safe, just because we're a charter school? So really, are we really thinking about all of our kids? Who are we thinking about when we're talking about being about the kids? Are we talking about charter school kids too, or just certain kids? I don't know. I'm asking the question.
Just for black and brown.
Right? I mean, come on. When we look at this chart, there's a lot of schools being closed because they're charter schools. They won't. Epic Middle School closed a few years ago. They could not get a facility. So they're trying to use facilities to close our schools. And are we going to let it happen? Are we about that life?
Nope.
Show not. And I just want to take my hat off to my Cox parents because they are really walking the walk. They are talking with the decision makers. They're getting all up in the face. They're developing those relationships because we're going to get this done. We are going to get this done. Okay. So this is a little context. My last slide on context is bringing us back to why we're here. If we can go to the next one. Who remembers this guy from session 1? I don't know if you remember him. He's a very, yeah, used to be
Best principal ever.
best. Rocio said he was the best principal ever. I'm going to take that because you didn't know me as a principal, Rocio, but that's okay. I love Kareem. But Kareem his whole movement, the kids can't read. Our kids are not reading at grade level. That's to Jamisha, I think she said that earlier. That's got to be our focus. We got to focus on providing in partnership great education to all kids. And we know this is a real issue, right? So that's kind of what's going on and percolating in public education right now. I'm just trying to agitate you and provoke you. But let's break it down. Any comments just on this one? Did anybody see this article? Oakland was featured proudly as starting to really adopt some of those science-based literacy practices. I don't know if you remember, we talked about that in the first two institutes. EFC has been in cahoots with Kareem Weaver for years because at EFC, we believe the same thing he believes. We got to have that science-based approach, not this willy-nilly all over the place approach, that structured approach, taking our kids up through every single level. Thumbs up if anybody remembers that we talked about in session 1 and 2. Anybody remember that? Uh-oh, I got one thumb. I get that remembers. Anybody else? Who's with me here? Remember that science-based approach to reading? Well, we've been in cahoots at EFC with Kareem for a minute, and that's a good thing. So that's what's going on. And tonight, if you can go to the next slide, doing pretty good on time here. Jamisha was like, wait a minute, there's got to be a better way. And what I want to say to you is this is about power. And real power is often hidden. Okay? And tonight we're going to bring that stuff into the light, because once you can see it, then we can build power together, right? So power, sometimes how things happen, those deals, those backdoor deals they talk about, we're going to bring that out into the surface today. Okay. And we're going to talk about where that power is, who makes decisions, and we're going to make sure it's not hidden from our EFC parents. Does that sound good?
No.
Miss Regina, did you want to say something? Jump in, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get in. Oh, you can see me now.
I can.
Okay.
I got you. I got you.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, it's great to see you. So real power is often hidden, okay? And that's kind of our big lesson. I want you to keep that in mind as we start going through. Anybody want to jump in? Anything resonate with you so far? Any questions coming to the front of your minds? Please jump in. I like to be interactive. Abraham, you want to jump in? Oh, Heather, you got your hand up. Go for it, Heather. All right, Heather, well, I'm ready for you whenever you want to. Go ahead, babe.
Yeah, I just wanted to put my hand down. But
Okay.
I did want to ask, like, you know, with like charter schools and stuff like that, because I've
Yep.
always heard the good parts, the good sides of charter schools, but you know, are charter schools like recognized as a human right?
Dang, Heather. That's why I'm glad you're back.
Education.
That's why I'm glad you're back, because
Like,
in my book, it's the family voice who's got to make the family choice. We don't want anybody choosing for our babies, right? So that's a great question, Heather, and we're going to get into that. Are we respected? Is our choice being respected? That's a question I put out. I see some,
you know, what is that, Amendment 24, something like that? You know, the right to education, housing, blah, blah, blah. But that's
Right.
another piece to it. And I've just always wondered, you know, is that acknowledged, you know, with, you know, even charter schools, because I know, you know, that it's over private, you know what I mean?
You know
But-
what, Heather? Heather, I'm about to let you teach this session, because that's exactly what I'm talking about, okay? Is our right to a good education even being acknowledged? I'm gonna put that question back to all of you. Is it? Are we being acknowledged? That's right. That's right. So that's why we're here, because we're gonna be acknowledged, okay? Safisha was just shouting out, she loves this quote, real power is often hidden. So let's peel back some layers tonight together. If somebody can go to the next slide for me. First thing we're gonna break down, public power in public education starts at the elected school board level. And you guys, I just wanted, I don't know if you can see me, but I did want to show you. Y'all, I got my red blazer on tonight. This is my power coat. You'll see me? Can y'all see me? I don't know if you can see me, but I had to put my power coat on tonight. So I just wanted to make sure. I know we talked a lot about the power coat. Yes, Viv. Yes, Viv. Sometimes, and I got the matching lipstick. So I just want to, I'm for real right now. Okay. So the first thing I want to break down is those school boards. Who's heard of a school board before? What in the world is a school board? Help me. Okay, Susan's got a hand up. Anybody else heard of a school board? People like, what are you talking about? What is this? What in the world is a school board? Help me. Help me. Maida's got a thumb up. Who's going to help me out? What's a school board? They got power? Does a school board have power?
Yes.
Okay, break it down. Rosia, what's a school board? Help me out.
Those are the people that make a lot of decisions for our kids.
Oh, yes, they do, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, they do. They make a whole lot of decisions. So yes, we need to know who they are because they are making very important decisions that affect our kids. Okay. Anybody else want to build on Rocio? What else does a school board do? Help me out. Alba.
Sí, lo voy a decir en español. Para mí, una junta escolar es la comunicación de lo que está pasando en las escuelas y en lo que puedo ayudar a aportar a mi niño y a los otros niños en la escuela. Gracias.
Exactly. But sometimes the power is hidden, Alba. So we want to support our kids, but we actually have to make sure we know where all the power lies. Otherwise, we might be trying to do something, but there's no power right there. So let's break this down of how in the world does these two school boards have to do with your kids? Okay, so let's go to the next one. All right, so here's the 4 things that the school board does. Who can tell me the first thing that a school board, they're elected by the public, I'll just say that. They're publicly elected. There's 7 different school board members in OUSD. There's 7 for Alameda County. But what's the first thing that a school board does? What's their job? Can somebody help me out with that first one?
I can help you. They set the vision and direction of the school district and monitor progress.
Isabel, so we got to have a vision. OUSD needs a vision. They need to know where they're going, right? They need to set those goals and then they need to hold themselves accountable. That is the responsibility of the school board. Now, is that happening well?
No. No.
Yeah, Miss Regina, that's their responsibility. Whether they're fulfilling it is a little bit all over the place, right?
No, that is their responsibility. But let me say this. It is not fair. It is not concrete. And it's a little bit sneaky because sometimes you don't even know what you're not voting for to enable your children to go somewhere. I wouldn't have never known that they didn't want to have 28 million for our children.
That part.
Yeah. And then how do you know that? That's under the surface. And what we really need to be doing, I'm sorry to say this. No, I'm not even sorry to say this. I'm sorry to take up time to say this, but I'm not sorry to say this. We need to blast them on the news because I have an article where they're not taking care of their own schools. So I'm going to be quiet. Yeah.
No, but see, Miss Regina, you're in the right place at the right time because that's exactly what we're talking about. We're definitely talking, but you're right. We got to hold the responsibility. We got to hold people accountable, right? Exactly. So what else does a school board do? What's the second thing that they do?
Manage own budget of hundreds of billion over a 4-year term.
Yes, OUSD has a humongous budget. So they're responsible for managing it, right? And sometimes they write checks that they can't cash. We know that district has gone into fiscal receivership, been taken over by the state. So we know this has also been an issue too. So thank you for that. Someone else help me out with the next responsibility of a school board.
Hire and fire a superintendent and ensure she or he is successful.
Correct. The superintendent runs the district, but the school board hires and fires the superintendent. That's really an important responsibility, okay? But they're not running the school district. Does anyone know who the superintendent is in OUSD? We used to be principals together. We go way back. She's like 3 generations.
Her last name is Trammell. That's all I remember.
That's right. So Larissa is the superintendent at EFC. At OUSD, Kyla Johnson Trammell is the superintendent. Okay. So she's actually pretty good, folks. And then finally, in Alameda County, there's 2 different school boards that are important for us. And I'm about to show you who's on them. But at the Alameda County level, they have a very important responsibility. Can someone share that last part?
Alameda County Superintendent oversees. Where did it just go?
I know, it just flipped away. Go back for me. We got excited. Go back to that last slide. There we go. There it is. Thank you.
Alameda County Superintendent oversees school district budgets.
Yes. So when all these districts are writing these checks that are going to bounce, it's the county superintendent that says, no, 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 balance that budget, right? Because it's hard sometimes for districts to make those hard decisions, but we can't, as a district, be writing checks that we can't cash, right? So they have to be responsible, just like all of us have to pay the bills, make the bank account come out right at the end of the month, right? That's just part of being a grown-up. But sometimes our districts don't behave that way, and the county superintendent has to be like, hand slap, nope, you can't do that. You got to fix your budget. Does that make sense? Any questions about what school boards do? And this would be the same for the EFC. EFC also has their own school board, and this is also their responsibility. They got to make sure they're hiring, firing Larissa, making sure she's successful. They're making sure there's a vision and direction set, and that they're spending their money appropriately aligned to those priorities. Okay, so that's the same for EFC. Any questions here? Y'all good? All right. So now let's dig a little deeper, because I want to go into what in the world does this elected school board have to do with a charter school, right? Because EFC already has its own school board. So let's go into the next one, the next slide, please. And now we're going to actually go deeper into this charter school issue. Okay. So the elected school board has 4 important responsibilities related to the schools that your children attend. So who can help me with the first one?
Approve opening, renewal, and closing of charter schools.
Correct. Thank you, Lauren. I think that was you, Lauren. So our schools don't get to get opened unless they're approved by the school board. Okay. So they're the ones who vote yes or no. And we have to have 4 votes to open a charter school. And if we don't get 4 votes to renew, we're not going to be open. Okay. So the school board, this is critical. We don't get to, the school district schools can fail for 50 years and stay open. Charter schools, we got to hit that data every 5 years. And if our data isn't there, that is one reason our school can be closed, right? There's a lot more accountability for charter schools.
You also have to keep enrollment rates up too.
Yes, that's right, Jamisha. You can't have, if you have a little strangly little student population, you got a little 100 kids, you can't run a good program on that. So yeah, we get held to a standard, and we want to be held to that standard, right? No, we want to be at the top. And that school board can close your school. Okay, so that it's a very big responsibility that they take.
Questions?
Yes, please.
This is when our charters go for renewal. This is every 5 years.
Yes, it's usually 5 years. With the new law, you can get a 7-year renewal if you're a top tier school, but you can get a 2-year renewal if you're on the bottom tier. Okay, so five is kind of the app. 5 is like the standard, but there's some exceptions if you're on the top or the bottom end, but that's not guaranteed. You could get recommended for an approval and the school board still votes you down, because we know those politics, right? We got to talk about power. Who has the power to influence those school boards to get those votes, right? Great question, Emily. Thank you. The second responsibility of a charter that has to do with our schools. What's the second one?
Provide oversight for charter schools.
Exactly. So they come and visit. The Office of Charter Schools visited all of your schools this year. They're looking in those classrooms. They're making sure. Lauren's shaking her head because she probably saw them on the visit. They come in, they look in those classrooms. They talk to parents. They talk to teachers. They look at the data. They have oversight responsibility. They make sure they look at our book, make sure our budget is being balanced. So they come and check on us, as they should, because they've authorized our charter. Thank you. And if they don't like, if something is outside the guidelines, they'll issue us, you know, a notice of concern. Oversight. Next one, and I'm going to speed up a little bit so we can keep going.
Decide if
I'm sorry.
charter schools.
Go back to the last slide. We've got to finish the last slide. Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
Decide if charter school receive partial tax funding from Oakland voters.
Right. Who here works? Who here has a job, works in Oakland? Well, you're all paying parcel taxes, getting taken out. I'm sorry, that's not just working. If you're paying taxes for public education, but if you own a home, you know, all those parcel tax that get added onto your tax bill for your home, a lot of those go to schools, but the school board decides if it's only for district schools or if it's for our schools too. Even though all of us, we own the home in Oakland, they decide if the charter schools are actually going to get that additional funding. So that's a really important one. And then finally, as we know at Cox, in the very moment that we're in, what's the final important responsibility of a school board with regard to our schools?
Approve Prop 39 facility use and Prop 51 facility grants for charter schools.
That's right. Okay. So let me just see some, is the school board very important? Give me a three fingers. If it's a little bit important, give me 2, or if it's not important, give me a 1. What do you guys think? Okay, I got 3. 3 is very important. 2 is
Say
a
it
little.
again, say it again. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Heather, I was saying, just give me some feedback. Is it a 3? A school board is very important. Is it a 2? They're sort of important, or is it a 1? They're just not important at all. What do you think? Show me your fingers or get in that chat box. I see a lot of 3s. Very important. Okay, very important. Thank you, everybody. So let's find out. Let's find out who these folks are. Let's put some faces to the names. Okay, let's go to the next slide. All right. This is our Oakland Unified School Board. These folks are all elected except for the superintendent is, as you know, hired by the school board. And Kelly Craig Arnold, I wanted you to know who that is. She's the director of the Office of Charter Schools. And so she comes out and does those visits and the oversight, and she interacts with the renewals. But these guys here on the left side with those color bands, those color boxes outside their pictures, this is the elected school board. We got D1, North Oakland, some of the Oakland Hills, Sam Davis. Raise your hand, make some noise if you know Sam. Is this a familiar face? D2, Jennifer Brohard, that's by Crocker Highlands, East Lake, kind of Grand Avenue area. D3, Van Cedric Williams, West Oakland, Lake Merritt, Adams Point, East Lake. Anybody know Van Cedric? Yes, we do. Oh, I know. He definitely has a relationship with some of us, which is great. D4, Oakland Hills, Mike Hutchinson. Anybody know Mike? He's a prolific Facebooker. Yes, Rocio knows Mike well. D5 is vacant right now, so that's a real problem because there's only 6 people on the school board, and it's kind of a 3-and-3 situation. They're kind of locking, locking horns. D6 is Valerie Batchelor, which is East Oakland, but not deep east. Okay, it's more like Havens Court, Mills College, Maxwell Park, where I grew up. And then Cliff Thompson is deep East Oakland, kind of from the top to the bottom, right? All the way down to the airport, all the way up to the Oakland Zoo. And so those are your elected school board members. For folks who live in Oakland, do you know who your representative is? Just show me on your fingers. Or if you don't know, that's okay. I'm gonna give you a little fist, but that's gonna be part of your homework because you got to find out. You got to put your address in. And Lolita said, I have never heard of these people in my life. I know. And Lolita, they can close your kid's school. They can refuse to give your kids a decent facility. They can decide your school needs less money. So that's why we want to get to know who these folks are. Cesar.
I got a question.
Yes.
I don't know how I'm kind of sound about this.
Please.
Going back to the beginning where we're looking at the history and saying how like schools not in the hills of Oakland were getting better education.
That's right.
Okay. So now that we're looking at the board, is the board responsible for that part?
Yes. Yes.
Why the difference on the Hill School school
Yep.
and the others?
That's a great question.
Racism, racism, racism,
I didn't want to.
racism,
I didn't want to bring.
racism. Well,
That's
we
not what
gonna bring
I
it
wanted to
out,
bring
baby,
out, but
because that is
it's
the real
it's
truth.
kind of
It's the truth. Sorry.
Yep.
it's kind of
That's
yeah.
right.
I mean, I think it was more than just me thinking about that right now.
Well,
Now
sir,
that we
I'm Miss Regina and Cesar, I'm with you, because would these folks tolerate a roof with water pouring through it in the rain at Crocker Highlands, at Glenview,
yeah, exactly. That's what.
Chabot, and I'm naming all the Hillcrest?
And you know they wouldn't. Them parents would get together and go after them people and be picketing around the school. I'm
Correct.
telling you.
Correct. And so who gets heard, right? When we think about power, we're going to talk in our small groups. Who do we think has the power? We're about to dig
We
into
have
that.
the power,
That's
but
right.
we have to address our power and make our power known.
That's
and
right.
how you make your power known is that you go out in numbers. It could be one or two, because one or two people can change anything.
Right.
But if you have more numbers, you'll be better looked after, because they know that you're gonna come. And another thing, let me say one more thing. What they do in them Hill schools also is the parents get together and they go and get money on their own.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Miss Regina's right. They get together, have an auction, raise $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 for their kids' school. So we see the inequities, right? Both what we tolerate, like who tolerates a leaking roof like we have at Cox? We got to really ask ourselves that, right? Is that normal? It's not. It's not. I want to introduce you to the next school board that has a lot of power. So go to the next slide for me. And this is our county school board. So they're spread over all of Alameda County. For Oakland, Ken Barrick represents the Oakland Hills, A3, and Angela Norman represents the rest of Oakland. Ken is one of the most champion guys I've ever met. He is with us. Angela represents Oakland, and she doesn't want to have anything to do with us, folks. And so that's our representation right there. Joaquin is Berkeley Emeryville. Aisha is San Leandro. Jonavet is Hayward. Cheryl Cook Callio is Livermore. Eileen is Newark. And then their superintendent is actually elected as Elise Castro. She's new. And Juan is the charter office. Yes, questions?
Those are the positions we want our kids to get.
That's right. That's right, Cesar. Cesar, his daughter is going to be on this school board. And I want you guys to think.
Why not you, Cesar? Why not you?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Why aren't we on these school boards? These are our kids. We care about education, right? Why do we have these jokers, making decisions that affect us, right? This is truly the question we have to ask ourselves. So
yeah, why having a rep for the Hill part and a rep for the rest of Oakland?
Go ahead, Cesar. What'd you say?
Why having a rep for the Hills of Oakland and a rep for the rest of Oakland? Why not a rep for Oakland?
That's right.
Oakland in general, so.
That's right. That's right. And so that's our county board. And now I want to see who your school is accountable to. So go to the next slide, because it's a little different. So who's who? All right. For Cox Academy, which school board holds their renewal? Is it OUSD? No, for their renewal.
Nope, it's the county.
Oh, no, it's the county.
The county. Now, who holds their facility for Cox?
It's Oakland Unified School.
Do you see what I'm saying?
City.
Yeah.
How about for Achieve? Who holds their renewal for Achieve?
Oakland.
OUSD. And who holds the facility for Achieve?
OUSD holds both.
Correct. That's right. How about Lazier? Who holds Lazier's renewal?
County.
Also the county, correct. And who holds the facility?
OUSD.
Oakland School District.
That's correct. How about my friends at Learning Without Limits?
Oakland School District.
Their renewal is coming up for Oakland Unified. That's right. And then who's got their school building for Learning Without Limits?
Oakland Unified.
That's right. How about Ascend? Where does Ascend go for their renewal? OUSD, right? And where do they go for their facility?
OUSD.
That's right. Now, Latitude, did any of you have high school kids who made it into Latitude? Great. So Isabel, we have a very different situation for Latitude. This is one of the most innovative, exciting high schools that nobody elected to office in Oakland wanted to have open. So they went to OUSD first. OUSD said, oh no, we don't want that kind of school where the kids are in projects, getting career opportunities, having all kinds of hands-on learning, phenomenal model. So OUSD said no. And then the county said no. And so Latitude appealed all the way to the State Board of Education. So that's actually who holds their charter, is not even the county board, but the State Board of Education. Okay. And then where does Latitude go for their facility?
They have a private facility.
Yes, ma'am.
They're private.
No facility headaches, guys. They don't have to ask anybody, can they move? They don't have to ask anybody for a space. They have a private facility. All right. So that's what, so now you know who's who. So as we start breaking out, if you can go to the next slide for me, we got to get.
How did they get a private facility though?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, that I don't actually totally know the answer to that question. It takes a lot of money. Rosie, go for it.
I think EFC bought the land, so that's why that's private.
Yeah, it's very expensive, right? But it's a great way to go if we can find the resources. But at the same time, what really ticks me off, I'm not going to be quiet about this, Jamisha, is our kids have the right under the law to be in these public school facilities that you are already paying for as a taxpayer in Oakland. So why do we have to go private? You know what I mean? Like, I want to do it for the lack of the headache, but it's like, why don't we have our rights? So I want you to get in your small groups. We're going to get into affinity groups, but here's what I want you to think about. Who are the power players? Who are they? Who has power and who makes decision over our kids' education? Second, what is the risk and impact? What decisions can be made and what would be the impact to our children? Okay, how do these decision makers affect us? And then finally, I want us to talk about the parent power. Do we have power? How much power? What can we do about it? All right, we're going to have some great breakout groups. I'm sorry, we're a couple minutes late, but I want to give you at least 16 minutes in that breakout group before we come back and report out, okay? Thank you guys so much. Have a great time with your partners. You're all experienced, but the breakout rooms are popping up. Please join your breakout room at this time. And we'll see you in about 16 minutes. Okay, great. So I'm going to have my group start. Thank you. We had a wonderful group of Spanish-speaking moms from Achieve and Here. And give it up for Daisy Campos.
Woohoo!
We had a powerful conversation. Can you give the highlights to our group, Daisy?
Sí, hola, buenas noches. Soy Daisy nuevamente. En nuestro grupo lo que todos nosotros como papás entendimos es que siempre debemos de asistir a todas las reuniones que nuestras escuelas realicen, también ser padres voluntarios y luego siempre mantenernos unidos como papás, como familias, como comunidad, para siempre estar apoyando a nuestras escuelas y demostrarles como digamos a la mesa directiva o la mesa de la junta escolar, hacerles saber que nosotros como papás estamos ahí presentes luchando para que nuestros niños siempre tengan una mejor educación y hacerles saber que no estamos de acuerdo en que ellos decidan cerrar nuestras escuelas. Gracias.
Right on, right on. Oh, Daisy, we dug into that power tonight. We started talking about where that power is and who's making decisions that affects our kids. Thank you, Daisy. How about our next group? Can someone jump in? Thank you for that shout out, Lorelei. Everybody, if you love what Daisy said, show me in the chat box. Show me with the reaction. Thank you, Agueda. Who's going to share out next? Susan, how about your group?
We can have Marlene, ¿podría dejarle saber al grupo de lo que platicamos en nuestro grupo?
Sí, hola, buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes, Marlene.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes. Bueno, pues nosotros más que nada nos enfocamos en cómo es que impacta las personas que tienen el poder en nuestra comunidad educativa, y nos damos cuenta que a veces nosotros no nos damos ni cuenta de qué pasa con los fondos, o sea, y nos impacta en la educación de nuestros niños, que a veces no traen ni los maestros que ellos necesitan para la educación. Entonces es bien importante estar como padres apoyando, más que nada, hacernos presentes y saber dónde están esos fondos y en qué se utilizan, para que nuestros hijos tengan una educación adecuada.
Oh my gosh. And you know what? That's perfect. We're about to dive in to how your site is actually investing in their literacy goals. So that comment was right on time. We're going to actually be breaking that down about who are the people working on literacy, what are the things we're buying, the trainings, all that good stuff. So thank you for that push on the resources, because we need our resources aligned to our priorities. Thank you. Next group.
And then, Kimmy, do we want to go on to the next and give the other groups that didn't go a chance with the second breakout session? We are on time.
Well, I want to hear a little. I heard from 2 Spanish-speaking group, and I know my English speakers had a fire conversation because they didn't even want to come back to the big group. So I got to at least hear from some of my English speakers tonight. Who's gonna do a little summary of your conversation?
Can I actually ask either Heather or Lolita if you could just give a brief overview of what we talked about?
Okay, I had to get to the unmute button, but okay, so my power coat has some trimming and hemming done in our breakout group. Yeah, so it's fitting a little tighter now. Thank you so much, Michael. It was really informative. So in there, we talked about how there was like miscommunication, being that my daughter is in a charter school, and I had some concerns just with the cleanliness of that side of the school, and I brought this to the attention of the school. And so basically I was being rerouted to all of these different people, and the train kind of stopped at the superintendent. And I was under the impression that because this charter school was a charter school, that it was isolated to itself. That's why when you guys started presenting people, I was like, I had no idea these people exist, because they made it seem like it was just this one entity, like a charter school has their own individual things going on, and that was just that. And so that's why I was like, all of this information that I'm receiving from you guys right now, plus what Michael was talking about as far as like, you know, even getting in communication and being in the ring of things and the politics of it all. I was like, oh yeah, this is very informative. My coat is fitting real snug. I'm getting real comfy here now. And that's pretty much what we were talking about in our breakout room.
Awesome. So sometimes real power is hidden. So tonight, right, you unhid, you discovered some of that, where the decisions and some of that power lies. Thank you so much. And I love hearing about your power coat. I got my red one on tonight myself, looking powerful. Is there any other group that wants to share out? All right, well, we're going to get you on the next round because I know you had some great conversations, but let's keep moving. And I'm going to turn it on to Susan from FIA, Agueda from Learning Without Limits, and Larissa can't be here tonight. She's got a family thing going on, but Abby Nunez, who's the chief of schools at EFC, is going to stand up in her place. Can we give it up for my co-conspirators here, Susan, Agueda, and Abby? Oh, I see woots in the chat. Okay, get it. That's right. That's how we do it. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Kimmy. And thank you everybody for those very encouraging woot woots and just your energy on this call tonight. I feel like we're already having some really good, like higher level conversations, right? The tone of these conversations is different than the first institute. So I'm just so thankful and motivated to be here tonight. Many of you already know me, but my name is Susan Singleton, and I am a parent organizer at Families in Action. I work primarily with the amazing parents at Learning Without Limits and Cox Academy. And I'm really inspired by all of you and your level of involvement and your drive and your passion. We got a lot of powerful parents on this call tonight. And if we could go to the next slide, I want to talk about a really awesome power principle that we use often in organizing. Organizing is more about people than issues. Okay, let that sink in a little bit. Organizing is more about people than issues. Be thinking about that and be thinking about what that means to you. But Agatha, I wanna know, what does this principle mean to you? I know you're so involved and you're so passionate, and it definitely relates to why you joined this Level Up Institute. So if you could let the parents know, what does this organizing principle mean to you and why you're here today?
Hi, everyone. My name is Agita, and I have 2 children learning without limits. The reason why I joined this group and why I've joined the past group as well is to involve myself in my children's education. I feel like me growing up, I didn't have my parents' support, as in, you know, how to get a college, how to get better grades, how to, you know, just have more support as a parent. So for my children, I promised myself to help them as much as I could. But the PowerPoint or the power principle, I feel like it's more important to know the people, because I just feel like since we don't know as parents, instead of bringing the issues in to them right away, it's important for us as parents to let them know who we are, to let them know why are we there, and pretty much just letting them know that we are there present for our children and their education.
Yes, exactly. I love how you phrase that, right? Before we can bring our issues to anybody, an elected official, somebody working at the school, we need them to know who we are. Exactly. It's more about relationship building, right? That's such a key important step. And if we could go on to the next slide, right? It's not always just about what you know, it's who you know. And these different relationships that we can build in our community, whether it's with elected officials at the school board level or the county level, or with the folks that work in the EFC main office, or the leadership folks at your school, or the educators in your school, right? There's these different levels of relationship, and it's important that we're in relationship with at least some folks at all these different levels. And right now, we're going to be looking and going a bit deeper into the leadership at EFC, because there's a lot of folks that are making decisions about how your school looks and runs. And it's important that you know them and that they know who you are, like Agita said. So I would like to invite Abby to kind of walk us through the who's who at EFC. Take it away, Abby.
Thank you. Before Abby comes on, I just want to say thank you to Susan, Agita. Thank you for bringing in your voice and perspective. We're so glad you're here. Can we give it up for Susan and Agita? Yeah. Awesome. We got so much spirit tonight. So here's what I want to say before we bring on Abby, who's going to do the next slide. We talked about that Oakland Unified School District over here, right? They operate their own 80 schools. Education for Change operates its 6 schools, right? All here in the city of Oakland. These are those 6 schools right here. Those are where your kids go. And then I also just want to introduce another body, and it's called the Coalition of Educators for Change, because they also have power. EFC has a teachers union that was formed just about 2-3 years ago. The staff also organized into that union. So all of the staff at EFC are represented by CEFC. And so when we think about developing our parent power, we want to think about who do we know in these other power domains? And that's going to be kind of our work for the rest of the evening, okay? So that's an important constituency here in EFC that we need to know about, right? Because we want to be curious. Who's got the power? Who's making the decisions? Who's influencing? We want to make sure we know people in all these different groups. Y'all cool? All right. Let's go to the next slide, and we're going to welcome up Abby to the stage to introduce herself and just break us down a little bit of how EFC is organized, okay?
Thanks, Kimmy. Hi, everybody. As Kimmy said, my name is Abby Nunez, and I'm the Chief of Schools for Education for Change Public Schools, which is all the 6 schools that are represented tonight. And I've had the pleasure of meeting a lot of you at different events at the schools. I hope to continue to meet more and more of our almost 3,000 or more families across the schools. So a little bit about myself. So prior to becoming a chief of schools, I started as a teacher, like many educators, and then I was coaching other teachers and also was a principal for many years in the Los Angeles area. And I'm new to Oakland. I'm loving it. I'm also a mom. And one of the most special things I've experienced being an educator and also being a parent is that, you know, getting to experience what parents experience as a parent. So a lot of the things that, you know, you have, you know, expressed the positive experience and also the frustrations. When I walk into a school as a parent with one of my children, I walk in the same shoes. Most of the time, I don't tell them I'm an educator or what my job is, because I want to see what is my experience going to be at that school, as if, you know, any parent would experience at the school. And so I think that's always important for me to keep in mind and to keep me grounded in what all of our parents deserve in terms of their experience in our schools and their children's experience in our school. So that's just a little bit about me, and I hope to get to know each of you better. But my job tonight is to go over the who's who in EFC. And this is a lot of information, but you know, you'll have it to reference later. We'll kind of start here, maybe in the blue section, because this is the section that most people here are most familiar with on the day-to-day, right? So we have, you know, our students who are supported by all of our educators and staff at the school. And again, there is a teachers union there that supports them as well, the Coalition of Education for Change. And then there's a lot of people that work with the teachers to help them grow and develop as teachers. The academic leads or deans, assistant principals, could be a culture and climate team, deans of culture. And then the principal is the main, you know, executive leader of the school setting. Now you'll notice here to the left of the principal on the chart is the Site Family Leadership Council. So this is a group of parents, families that are elected by the parent community to be a council to advise the principal from the family's perspective about the needs of the school by reviewing data, talking about the priorities and giving input. Yeah, thank you, Kimmy. Let's hear it for all of our FLC members. If you're on your school's FLC or the EFC FLC, can you give us a woot woot?
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Woohoo! We might need some more, right? We might need to get some more. Thank you.
Whoa, whoa.
Woo, woo.
Whoa, whoa.
Whoa, whoa.
Thanks, everybody. And before I continue, I saw another comment in the chat, and I do want to actually give a shout out to the Cox School community. I was invited to attend a family engagement celebration, and I hope that big shout out to Emily, all the Cox families, Omar, it was really a model for what I think all of our schools can aspire to in terms of really celebrating families at the end of each year. So I feel so privileged to have attended, and I will be sharing that practice or that tradition with all of our schools so we can make sure something like that happens each year. All right, so then as Lolita brought up earlier, which I thought was a great point, it's like it's really helpful to know that it doesn't just, the power structure, so to speak, doesn't just stop at your school, right? So if you have a concern or you need support beyond your school, who do you go to? Who do you talk to? So that's when we get up into the yellow bracket. So the yellow bracket is what we refer to as our home office. And our home office is all of the folks that support all of the schools for around different things. We have a lot of staff that support the academic program, human resources, operations. And then my role as the chief schools officer is to directly support the principals and the schools. And most of the folks in the home office report to the superintendent, our superintendent, Larissa Adam. And she, just like the principal, works alongside or has an advisory council of families. Some of you sit on the org-wide or the big FLC for EFC, and she works alongside them. Those families, kind of advise her and give her counsel around what's needed at the schools. Yeah, maybe if you could put your thumb up, or you could do another woot woot if you're on the big EFC FLC. I don't hear any woots, but I do see some thumbs.
Hey there.
And that's a big job, because some of those folks are going to their own FLC at their school, then they're coming to that FLC, and that's a lot of meetings. So big shout out to those EFC FLC members as well. And then even past our superintendent, you see in the brown circle at the top, we have a board of directors too. So we also have a board. And so that board of directors is the decision maker. You can see here, they hire the superintendent and they set priorities and ensure that there's adequate resources for all of our EFC schools. So that's a lot of information, but that in a nutshell is kind of how EFC is organized. And on the next slide, I'll just point out how we have organized around this priority of literacy. So many of you guys came to the literacy workshops, and all of our schools are investing in literacy. So here along the left side of the chart, we have, some questions for you to think about. So how are we investing in our resources? Very, very exciting for next year. If your child is in kindergarten through second grade, there's going to be a new curriculum called Fish Tank. And it's going to help basically with like reading comprehension and what they call a knowledge building curriculum. So not just learning to read, but also like reading to understand and reading to grow your knowledge. We also invest resources for our teachers and leaders to go to conferences. And next year, the home office is going to add another coaching role specifically, and I'm sure this will get a woot woot from LWL and Ascend. So there's going to be a coaching role specifically to support our schools entering charter renewal. So making sure that we're in tip-top shape to get that. Woo-hoo. Yeah, that's a big woot woot. In this next, and by the way, just so no one gets too jealous, we actually have excellent foundational skills coaches or early literacy coaches at all of our other schools as well. But this is a new addition for those two schools for next year. And then you see a bunch of positions here in the middle. These are all the folks in our home office that help support literacy instruction. And you see some of the coaches' names there for the different school. I know Lorelai's in the house, so we can give her a big woot woot. She's on that chart. Woo! Here. If I missed anyone else, I apologize. I tried to scroll through. Now, the who makes decisions part, although we do try to have, you know, a very inclusive decision-making process around a lot of things. You know, the chief academic officer, which is Brandy Stewart, myself, and our content directors, they do a lot of the decision-making. So that's someone that you can also talk to if you have questions about the decisions that are happening around our literacy initiative. And then you can see here our principals, our admin advisory, we have tutors, we have an assistant principal that supports the tutors, and we have lots of directors. So we have a lot of folks that are involved in the decision-making process that you can, you know, talk to or ask if you're curious or want to learn more about what's going on.
Awesome, Abby. I know that was a big information download. I know that was a lot, but you have big brains, everybody.
Thanks. And before we go on, I just want to make sure every parent I meet, or some parents, you know, are routed to me. I want to make sure you all know that anybody in this room and any parents, you're welcome to reach out to me at any time for anything at all. So sometimes it's hard to get a hold of the principal, or you can't get a meeting, or, you know, you just want to talk to somebody else. You're always welcome to reach out, and all the schools have my card with my number. Kimmy has my number, so please never be shy. I'm really here to support.
Oh, Abby, give Abby some love, y'all. Can we give Abby a little bit of appreciation?
Thank you, Abby.
Thank you, Abby.
Abby.
You know what? It's not what you know, it's who you know, right? And you guys know Abby now, and Abby is in your corner, and she's extending herself to you. Abby, why don't you throw your email and your phone in the chat box so people can stay in touch with you? But what we tried to do here is break down, how is EFC investing in its literacy goals? You can't just have a goal and not be doing anything about it. So we wanted to let you see transparently what's happening at the network level, at the org-wide level for EFC. Now we're going to break into school-based groups, okay? It's going to be a different group than the first time. Now Cox is going to get together. Now Lazier is going to get together, and we're actually going to look at how are those schools investing their resources for literacy, and have a discussion, a kind of a power mapping discussion. So I apologize, Susan, you're probably going to introduce this, so let me back up and let you do that. We're just running a teeny bit behind time, so I want to get us into this.
Thank you, Kimmy. Yes, I can go through the worksheet if that's helpful. And we were going to do a little bit of modeling, but what do you think's best? Should we go ahead and do the modeling, or
should we show the worksheet? Because everybody should have this in your packet that you picked up from school. But Susan, just talk them through. Let's not actually model it, but just show them kind of what's on here.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so we've been introduced to a lot of people at a lot of different levels, right? So the county level, the district level, and then Abby just let us know about all these folks that are in the EFC network. And so when we go into the small groups, we're also going to be looking at who are the people that are working at your school community towards literacy, but also have big, you know, leadership roles. And we're going to ask you guys to be thinking about, who do you already know at these different levels? And then who do you want to know? And really think about who you want to introduce yourself to in the month of May. So that is the ask and task and the to-do of the small group that we're going to jump into. There's 6 folks we want you guys to come out of this second small group really planning to introduce yourself to in the month of May. So I think with that offers some context, and we could go ahead and jump into the small group.
And then for each school, the principal has prepared their own little power map, literacy power map for that school. So we have that resource. I know all of our admin aren't here, but for each group, I put the deck in the chat box. So please look at that slide and kind of break down a little bit more information about the literacy that's happening at the site. Cool. Let's jump into our groups. We'll be there for 20 minutes and we'll come back into the big group at 7:53. Thank you.
All right. So it is already 5:55 here, team. Kimmy, what is going to be the next step for us since we are behind? Let me make sure though everyone is on translation. Everyone, please pick interpretation again. Padres, por favor, escojan interpretación para que puedan entender.
Sí, gracias.
All right. Well, you know what I love is there's some little appreciations in the chat box. I would love it if people would just share in the chat box their takeaway from the small groups. Maybe we could just do the report out, at least one person from each group in the chat box. I think we should move forward, Erica, if we can, just so that we can make sure it's already 8 o'clock. I know it's past my bedtime, so let's keep going.
Can I talk? I want to go about LWL.
Sure.
This is Doreen. I mean, we were going, talking about who know who's and the teachers, the principals, and it was just sad, you know, that some people, you know, don't know people. They don't know them by face, you know, and it was just really sad. And then I think the pandemic had a lot to do with this because we were outside, you know, we couldn't go in. The teachers or the principals couldn't introduce ourselves. And also our family coordinator, I know she's coming in. I have met her. She's going to be a big help to these family members because we have a lot of problems that need to be handled, you know, and it's not getting up to the head, to the principal. And sometimes the principal is not doing nothing about it, but just hold on, you guys. She's a wonderful person and she's going to help us, you know, and it's just that she's starting in June. She has to go through a whole bunch of different things, qualifications, classes to get on board, but she's there for us and she will help us. Just hold on, y'all.
Doreen, thank you for that message of hope and context, but also like we want to get better. And what I appreciated, Doreen, is you mentioned we don't have anything if we don't have relationships. If we can't speak to each other and introduce ourselves and be present with each other, it's very hard to get anything done for our kids. So thank you for that message. I agree with you 100%. And help is on the way because right now LWO doesn't have a coordinator. And so we're going to have a wonderful person joining that team. Thank you so much, Doreen, for that message.
Thank you.
Yes, so I know we probably had so many good conversations and we hope you've identified at least 6 people that you want to get to know in your school structure by the end of the month, right? So we're going to be checking in with you, be looking at those lists, be thinking about those lists, reach out to your coordinators so they can coach you and walk you through how that's going to look, how it's going to feel. And we are going to be putting in the chat the evaluation so that you guys can fill it out. Let us know what you learned. Let us know, you know, how you're feeling as we're wrapping up this session. What's a glow, something you learned and really enjoyed about the session, and then what's a grow for it. So we'll be putting the evaluation link in the chat. We're going to ask you some questions, and then you can also just, maybe put one word in the chat how you're feeling. I know for me, I'm feeling inspired and motivated. That's 2 words, but I just needed both of them. Let's see, what else? Let's see, who else do we have maybe in the chat? Excited. Sophisha's feeling excited. Daisy's feeling inspired. Yes, absolutely. That's the note that we want to end on. You guys have put in so much amazing work this session, and we got another one coming up in a couple days, Thursday. So we're all going to see you guys Thursday, May 4th, same place, same time. And we're so excited for the next session.
Seeing people feel hopeful, feeling motivated, ready to meet new people, build those relationships, do those powerful
thumbs up.
Yes. Motivada. Thank you, Maria. And we love your feedback too. Let's get that evaluation back in the chat box because we know there's things we did great tonight, but we also know that there's things we can always get better at. So we love that feedback from you about what was great for you tonight and what can we get better at. So fill out the evaluation and feel free to throw it in the chat box for us. Oh, people working hard. Cesar's typing in his feedback. I appreciate that. Ooh, Madeleine is with her power code. All right. United, we will achieve the change that we want for our education, educated community. Yes. Thank you, Daisy. Cesar said, look, we got to break down this racism. We got to break down this racism between the hills and the flats. That's right. Thank you, Aileen. Inspired. Awesome. Awesome. Anything you guys liked about this session that was a glow for you tonight, or anything we could get better at? Throw that in the chat box. Give us some feedback. Got some thumbs up and a happy face. Thanks, Hannah. So thank you for joining us. Vivica loved the information about the different school boards. Yes, putting some faces to those school boards. Yes. Maria's feeling very motivated and interested in continuing to learn. Agita is saying more communication. Maybe that could be a grow for us. More communication. Breakout, Doreen liked the breakout rooms. Very informative for Jackie. Stefisha loved the chain of command. That's right. You got to know who's in charge. So important. Interpretation was better this time. Yay. You know, we struggled with that a little bit last time around. So I'm glad to hear that got a little better. Great. Thank you, Alexis. I'll see you Thursday. And thank you, Steph. Everybody, let's come off mute and say good night. We're going to wrap up our session. We'll do a quick
good night.
Buenas
Bye. Thank
noches.
you.